Everything in the world, everything in nature shows us duality. Everything shows us what this life is about. We all have the opportunity to affect others' lives while we affect our own. People are afraid of change, and they always find reasons to maintain what it is that no longer serves them, whatever no longer creates the highest potentiality for the person. So it's kind of like the diamond. And we can go two ways with that. One, we all know where diamonds come from. We all know the whole story. People try to use it as a basis to help people understand their greatest potential. But we're going to address that in two ways. One, the coal. You take a lump of coal and you look at it and say, damn, this could be a diamond. That one little lump of coal is probably just chilling, saying, hey, I'm doing my thing, whatever, you're mediocre, knowing they're mediocre, and they're just happy with it. Okay, if you're happy with that, I can't force you out of that happiness. But if you're not happy with just being a lump of coal, let's go ahead and find out what we need to do to get you to your happiness. Well, in order for that one piece of coal to turn into something great at its potentiality, it has to go through pressure. It has to go through stress. It has to go through all these negative things in order for that one lump of coal to turn into something great, to turn into that diamond. That one lump of coal, after enormous pressure, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or however many tons of earth that has to go on that lump of coal in order for it to turn into a diamond. People have to go through that. We can even go the other way with it. Take that one lump of coal. That one lump of coal is still chilling, loving what it's doing, living its life, happy, doing what it does. But it's still not at its fullest potential. Then someone takes that lump of coal and sets it on fire. And then that lump of coal turns into the greatest meal that someone could ever create. Feeding people, along with other lumps of coal, of course. But you get the principle. In order for it to be at its highest potential, it has to be set on fire. Just like the diamond coal has to be pressurized, over-pressurized, almost, in order for it to turn into its greatest. So that's what it's like with people. We have people who just go through life, just doing whatever it is. There are people that, just drink every day, not doing anything with their life. But they're happy with that. And if they're happy, I'm happy. But if they're in the least bit of, well, I know I could be better, then that's where I come in to help these people become that diamond or that best meal, whatever level they see themselves as. Everyone should see themselves as the highest level that they could possibly attain, at their highest level of potential. Everyone should see themselves within this realm. But a lot of people struggle with seeing themselves as receiving anything great. And that's another problem. Because if you only see yourself as receiving mediocrity, then you'll always remain mediocre. And you'll always get mediocre things. So if people come to me and they say, hey, I'm in mediocrity right now, I need to become great, my greatest. That's where we come in. So when I do have these interactions with individuals, 99% of the time, and I'm not just making that number up, 99% of the time, I get resistance, because it's just like anything else that you're trying to tear apart. Back to the coal, pressurized, being under pressure. I'm putting these people under pressure to be better. So I get a lot of fighting, a lot of feedback, negative feedback. I'm not doing this and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, okay. So you're going to go back to being mediocre. Great. All right, well, great doing business with you. I hope that works out for you. So then there are the ones that understand that. It's like a boot camp. It's like there are no crybabies here. If you're going to run with your tail tucked between your legs and say, oh my God, this is too hard, and all of that, then obviously it's not for you. Because with greatness requires great work and effort and great sacrifice. So if you can't sacrifice one little bad habit that keeps you from being your greatest, and that bad habit means that much to you, then over you not being mediocre, then you need to do a lot more soul searching than I can help you, because you're valuing things that had no value or do not need to be valued at all. So with all of that said, if you are unhappy in the least, come to me and I will help you. I will help you see where the positivity is that can bring that happiness to you. Because positive always leads to great. I've never heard of anything negative leading anyone to anything great. I mean, other than, the pressure and all of that, blah, blah, blah. We get that. We get it. But seriously, positive attitudes, positive mindsets, perceptions, all of those things matter. And they give the proper structure of roadway leading to that happiness that it is one seeks. So we have to be sure that we follow that path. Of course, we already know that the quickest way anywhere is a straight line. So we're not going to veer off that path to try something else. Like, no, we're going to go a straight line to this path to happiness. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to veer off, because when you veer off, you lose sight, you lose focus. And then when you get back on that path, you're more beaten up than you would have if you would have stayed on that path. And you're also further behind because you had to do more work outside of that path just to veer off to end up at the same place you would have been maybe 5 years ago or 10 minutes ago. All of those things factor into how strong a person is in going forward. Now, strength, of course, is subjective, but at the same time, a person has to be strong enough to go through this. So if you're weak, but you know that there's more out there for you, you're beyond mediocrity, but that weakness stops you from, whatever that weakness is, stops you from going forward or acquiring what it is that you want, or just being that predator, chasing after that goal, then you'll never make it. You can have all those dreams, all of those thoughts forever. Yes, I'm going to be great. Yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm going to do that. But if that weakness overpowers you, you will never get there. So strength is definitely needed, because also weak people have a tendency to fall off track faster and easier than individuals who have the strength to be able to fight through the things that pull them back in, the things that they don't want to detach from. Basically going through a spiritual withdrawal, if you will. That's what I like to look at. Right? It's kind of like, any person that's going through a withdrawal, a drug withdrawal, any kind of other withdrawal, there's, negative feedback from that. You have, your sweats and, your convulsions and your pains, and everything is just so horrible. For the longer you've been on whatever this is, or had the feeling, or whatever it is, whatever you're holding on to, the longer you hold on to it, the harder it's going to be to rip it away from you. So with that, we're going to get a lot of fighting. I'm not changing that. Why? Because it doesn't serve you anymore. Why are you holding on to it? Tell me why. And out of those 99% chances or times that I have fighting, 99% of those times, well, no, we're going to go ahead and say 100, because I haven't had a person yet give me a valid reason why they are holding on to whatever it is that doesn't serve them. Like, it's always a temporary reason. It's always an external reason, like, someone else, blah, 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 has to do with it, or this, and this, and yada, yada. Okay. So now you're just giving me excuses as to why you need to hold on to this. All right. So anyway, with that, then I'll go into my next approach to help separate get their claws from wrapped around this damn thing that just is holding them back so greatly. It's always something that's so small to the rest of the world, but they created an anchor in order to give them justification as to why they need to hold on to it. So they took basically a pebble and turned it into an anchor for a full-blown cruise ship. Like, we can't do that. Like, you're actually making excuses for the problem. That's like saying I'm an alcoholic But there's a reason why I'm an alcoholic, and I'm going to stay an alcoholic. No, there's no reason why you're an alcoholic. I mean, there's a reason why, but there's no reason why you need to stay an alcoholic. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as an okay alcoholic. Because alcohol, over time, alcohol and other drugs, they're meant to be enjoyed, in moderation. Enjoyed as, a special item or a special, event kind of situation. Like, back in the day, your parents used to go to Doobie Brother concerts or something like that. And I have some, weed brownies, blah, 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 and all of that other LSD, whatever it is they took. And, and that was that. But now people are addicted to a lot of these things that make them feel those ways because they cannot recreate these feelings on their own. So they seek things like alcohol and so forth to maintain 100% of that, or to maintain it 100% of the time. And that's where addiction comes in. People get addicted to that feeling, not to the drug, but it's a way to recreate that feeling in your life without any drugs. Because these are inducers. These drugs are inducers, and they react to our receptors. When these receptors are there for our healing, for example, our opiate receptors respond to things that we do and give us that same feeling. Most people don't know that crying activates those same opiate receptors, the same chemical compounds. Well, there's maybe slight variations, but you get the point. And creates that same feeling. There are things that alcohol does. Meditation, really deep trance-like meditation that people can do, creates the same effects that alcohol does. There are so many different options out there for us that don't require us to do anything differently than what was already God-given to us. The inducers, again, are for us to enjoy while we're here. Things for us to have, pleasures that God created for us. If we're going to go that route. They're for a lot of different reasons, but that's what they're for. But then we go to abuse them, and then we make reasons why. We need to find that inside. The first time that I was able to recreate that feeling, multiple times in a row, by the way, it was the best. I said, I don't want to ever drink, smoke, or do anything ever again, because that feeling was that fucking great. I don't even think I could recreate that feeling with any of those items, because it was something that came from within. The feeling is indescribable. It's like being hugged by God, just coming down here and literally hugging you, touching you. It felt so good. And from that point, I knew that we can control every single thing about us, ourselves. We can control how we see the world. We can control how we act in the world. We can control all of these things. And we choose not to. We actually would rather put in the work to evade doing the work. We put all of the effort into doing everything opposite of what it is that we actually want. I'll never be able to understand that. A person wants to be healed, but they're doing everything to keep themselves unhealed. And then when people try to help them to heal themselves, they fight themselves and those people from being healed. I don't get it. I want money, but I'm not going to work to get the money, or I'm not going to put the effort in to get the money. And I'm just saying I want it just to be saying it. And maybe it'll fall into my lap. What? Whose planet does that work on? What? Okay. So we have people that do that have that thought process. And it's amazing. I'll say that, at least. I don't want to call anyone out of their names, but it's just, okay, it's completely asinine. What? That doesn't work anywhere. You have to put in the work. You can't be healed of your traumas and your physical ailments and all the things you have internalized over the years. You cannot be healed from that unless you put in the work to heal. You cannot. It just does not work that way. You can't hold on to shit that no longer serves you and expect your life to be great. You can't be a hateful individual to other people, to children, or animals, and expect the world to cater to you and to give you everything that it is you need and desire. You have to be good. It has to be positive. You have to be on a positive path. And you also have to have that positive faith in yourself in order for those things to materialize. And it's not about material. It's about happiness and peace. If material gives you happiness, great. God said nothing about those things. The only thing he said was that they are not to go before him. You can have all the luxuries in the world you want, but do not worship them before. Now, in later conversations, we will talk about who God really is, who Jesus really is. But right now, we're talking about the individual. The individual, the I am, which is God, I am, and that's what Yahweh is. But that's where we are. That's why you hear so much about what you put in your body, and your body is God's temple. I mean, the spirit, source, all of that resides in us. We're all part of it. Our souls, they're just little strings off of that one large tapestry. And if you have a bunch of strings that are fraying and going every damn direction, then what's going to happen to that tapestry? That beautiful tapestry is going to come apart. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to be our greatest and to make sure that we're helping others and bringing them forward too. Because we're all interdependent. Again, we can't be negative to others and racist or treat animals bad and not reap what we've sown. It just doesn't work that way.